College basketball on ESPN brings you back to Sioux Falls, South Dakota at the Sanford Pentagon. Our final game of the day, Utah State against South Dakota State. It's the Bad Boy Mowers Crossover Classic, all part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. With Chris Patola, I'm Doug Sherman, and here's what we've got to look forward to tomorrow. The championship game is set between number 15 West Virginia and Western Kentucky, scheduled for a 1:30 Eastern Time tip for the title of this inaugural event in South Dakota. In terms of this matchup, we have some high-level talent in the middle for Utah State. His name is Neemias Queta, a 7-foot junior from Portugal, coming off a double-double performance in the loss yesterday to VCU.
Yeah, well, ultimately going to be an NBA player. Shot blocker extraordinaire, alters shots around that basket, and has shown an expansive offensive game. That's one of the things that impressed us last night. And then how about this guy, Noah Friedel, the sophomore, had a great freshman season last year, played really well last night. Look at the stat line he had, filled up the stat sheet against West Virginia last night in the loss. It's gonna be a good game, Doug. Both these teams, I think this is gonna be an exciting game.
Marco Anthony, the Virginia transfer at the point for Utah State, which comes out wearing its Navy uniforms with the white lettering and gray pewter trim. The Jackrabbits of South Dakota State wearing their whites, and this would have been a decidedly home crowd for them if fans had been allowed in here. And just like he left off yesterday, Raleigh Wooster knocks down a mid-range shot.
A great high school player out of the state of Montana, two-time Montana Gatorade Player of the Year. And there's Friedel on the other end. That's a really good guard grouping tonight. Friedel on one side, and then the freshman Wooster, who had a good debut yesterday against that VCU pressure.
Queta's first bucket, as you took a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Sanford Health. Douglas Wilson, Summit League Player of the Year last year, finds his partner in crime in the post, Matt Detlinger. Back out to Wilson, who drives right down the lane for two.
He's their best player, and everything starts with him. They love to get it to him as early as they can in a possession, because they feel like if he touches it, they're going to have a really good possession.
Queta gets double teamed. Anthony sets his feet. Friedel the rebound, and he'll dribble it up for the Jackrabbits, coming off a 22-win season a year ago. And they are the preseason favorite to win the Summit League this year. Wilson attacks again, tries to dump it off. It comes through to Shireman, and he hits the three.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Wilson looking for Detlinger. Those two bigs look for each other so often.
Would you give Wilson the assist on that?
I would absolutely. And if they didn't, I'd be the first marching over to the scorer's table saying, what the heck? But this is what he does. You know, he does a lot of work on the block, but he finishes at the basket in so many unique ways. Nice ball fake there to shift the defense. And then over in protection is Queta trying to stay home with Detlinger.
Well, 2 years ago, he was the NCAAB Division II National Player of the Year at Kirkwood Community College. And he was playing for current South Dakota State assistant Brian Peterson. And they won a national championship. And again, Wilson is a guy who, coming out of high school, Hoover High in Des Moines, Iowa, was not highly recruited, but he has just gotten better and better. And now as a senior, he is a real force once again. Horn went off as the shot clock expired, but the Jackrabbits had possession already. Alex Arians drops it off. Detlinger gives it back to Arians. He puts up the three. It's good.
And there it is again, inside out. They play through those two bigs. And the thing that South Dakota State does best is pass. They are an outstanding passing team.
And, you know, Alex Arians is not your prototypical point guard, but he's an effective player. He was effective yesterday, also chipped in 9 rebounds. Queta called for traveling. But here's some of that passing you're talking about, Chris.
Yeah, the ball moves from side to side, and here, these bigs are willing passers. They're not black holes, as post players typically are. They are willing passers, and that's why, you know, Eric Henderson, if he can, every possession, they want it to go through those guys, get those guys a touch as early as possible.
Has LaFonso Ellis texted you yet?
It's coming.
Detlinger, 6'8", 240, a redshirt junior. Back out front to Friedel, the sophomore from T, South Dakota. Shot clock down to 2. Arians got it.
You know, he's an interesting story. You alluded to this, Doug. He started at the 4 for them 2 years ago, and he moved to the 2 last year and struggled. So then they moved him to the point. You could tell he's a really good basketball player. They want to use him. They just had to find the right spot, and the point guard position has been a really good fit.
Shot clock down to 6. Wooster loses the handle, gets it back. Now 2 to shoot. Dakota grabs the offensive rebound. Utah State has gone scoreless for going on 3 minutes as the Jackrabbits have rattled off 11 straight points. Anthony, foot on the line, no.
Well, we saw Utah State go score. They controlled that game last night against VCU and then went scoreless. Now, the pressure from VCU had a lot to do with that, but they really droughted at the end of that game. It's why they lost, frankly. That and turnovers.
Yeah, the VCU pressure forced double-figure turnovers in the second half. And Utah State just didn't shoot it very well either. Less than 25% as a team from beyond the three-point line. Dakota's pass deflected away by Wilson.
Nice find.
Bean off the feed from Bairstow.
And a good cut by Bean. Instead of just standing there in the corner, he realized he was unguarded and just cut along the baseline.
Wilson left his feet, bailed out with a pass along the baseline to Friedel.
How about the pass from Wilson?
I thought when he left his feet, he was dead.
No question.
Wooster, right to the bucket. 4 early points for the freshman out of Missoula, Montana. At this end, the Jackrabbits have yet to miss a three-point shot, a perfect 4 for 4. And overall, 6 of 7 shooting from the field. Does it continue? No. Over the back. Friedel went over the top of Wooster and gets called for the personal foul. 16-8. South Dakota State with the early lead. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers. Mow with an attitude. Sanford Health, improving the human condition. And Complete Sports Management. See the world through our eyes. And once again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, from those of us at ESPN and for those of us enjoying our week in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Jackrabbits off to a quick start, 16-8 over Utah State. But a problem potentially for the Jackrabbits is that Noah Friedel has picked up his second foul. And so Craig Smith, the third-year head coach at Utah State, might try to take advantage of that. And we'll get into it throughout the course of the evening. He is just one of many of the people in this game who have deep roots in the Dakotas.
Which you are now starting to establish.
Yeah, I think by the time we leave after a week here, they'll be talking about us. We are Dakotans. Hey, I had my first Chislic tonight. So did you.
Delicious. Never thought I'd eat a Chislic.
Or 2.
Nice block.
That was Detlinger from behind to get the rejection. Nearly 7 minutes in. South Dakota State coming off a 22-win season. Utah State coming off a 26-win season. Ashworth with the takeaway. As Alfonso Anderson put the ball to the deck, we've got a foul off the ball. So it goes against Trevin Dorius, the reserve 7-footer out of Wasatch High School in Utah. Now, Utah State is expected to be in the mix in the Mountain West Conference this winter, Chris. Of course, San Diego State was the first pick. Boise State is number 2, and then these Aggies expected to be number 3. And as for the Aztecs, they opened their season late last night in grand style by beating UCLA soundly.
What a job Brian Dutcher's done there. And what a job Utah State's done. I mean, think about what they lost. They lost a draft pick in Sam Merrill, Abel Porter, Diego Brito, almost half their scoring.
That bucket by Charlie Easley, the Nebraska transfer. And he will presumably get extended minutes for the rest of the half with Noah Friedel sidelined with the 2 personal fouls. Utah State down by 10 with a basketball. Anderson, double team, able to fight through it and connect.
Tough. Didn't hear his name called a whole lot last night, but an important piece for them. Their leading bench scorer last year, very efficient, just a really solid basketball player.
Now, how about coming off the bench against LSU last year to drop 24 on a really good Tigers team? Pass deflected out of bounds. Wooster got a hand on it. Well, we didn't call Alfonso Anderson's name a lot last night, but let's call it right now, Chris.
Working on the block, nice little spin. Tough finish. Alfonso Anderson, we'll call it twice, Dylan.
South Dakota State with the 8-point lead over Utah State at the Sanford Pentagon, a beautiful building for basketball, and we are thrilled to be here. Doug Sherman along with former volume shooter Chris Spatola.
Well, volume is kind, actually, with the amount it went up.
Two-time scoring champion in the Patriot League during his days at Army. But I did look up your shooting percentage.
You would.
37%?
Yeah. Well, you know, the looks were not always clean, but I got rid of it. Hey, look, man.
Somebody had to take the
Somebody had to take the shots.
Your teammates didn't want to shoot it. You had to shoot it, right?
Yeah. Well, look at me. I mean, you've seen me. I'm not much to look at. I mean, how could this person even get a shot off?
Well, you got plenty off during your high school days on Long Island in New York, and then in the Hudson Valley at West Point. Job well done. Douglas Wilson. Boy, he can get from point A to point B so quickly and easily. You know,
you talk to folks at the Summit who've competed against him, and that's the one thing they'll say. He's got kind of like a Gus Macker old man finishing game to him, where he's trying to manufacture different ways. He's a good athlete. He's really strong, but he's super crafty around the basket. You know, like it's a little bit unorthodox, but it gets the job done. And man, he's a guy that they didn't realize. They thought he was going to be a real defensive impact guy when he got there. They didn't realize he was as good an offensive player as he is.
18.6 points per game last year and a shooting percentage of 63%. Not just a defender, and here he goes again over Dakota.
He's a lot stronger. I mean, he looks strong, but he's even stronger than he looks. I thought early in that game last night against West Virginia, he knocked Derek Culver and Oscar Tshiebwe back a little bit. Yeah. I thought he surprised them with how strong he is, particularly below the waist.
Marco Anthony buries the jump shot. I think if you asked Bob Huggins, the West Virginia coach, the Hall of Famer, soon to be Hall of Famer, hopefully, that his team probably took the Jackrabbits a little lightly. You know, they walk into a gym, they're the 15th ranked team in the country, and we're bigger and stronger than these guys. And I think it's only natural.
Well, Eric Henderson's team knows how to play the game. And, you know, at the end of the day, execution, this is an old Bob McKillop line. Execution is an athleticism equalizer. So you may not be as big, you may not be as athletic, but if you can execute, be sharp, angles, block out, do the basketball fundamental things, and that's what this team does. They're an outstanding passing team, and they know how to play the game.
Shot clock down to 5. Wilson goes to the floor, and we did get a whistle and a tripping foul. You know, you say Coach McKillop, the way he describes playing basketball in that manner, it perfectly describes the player who he is most associated with, Steph Curry.
Of course.
You know,
no
playing
question.
the angles.
Yep.
Being able to overcome the fact that you're not the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest out there.
Yeah. Well, it's become a game that's, you know, played in large part above the rim. And, you know, that's what Steph has obviously done. And the game has drifted towards the three-point basket or three-point shot being a big part of it. But there is still room for those types of fundamentals. And, you know, this South Dakota State team, it's got a nice dynamic. You've got the two bigs inside that they play through, which is, you don't see a lot anymore. And then they space shooters around them, and then all 5 of those guys can pass, and they all play hard.
And eventually in their game yesterday against West Virginia, Derek Culver and the strength inside, Oscar Shiveway, the Mountaineers won the game, but it was still a close game to the end. 79-71 is not a bad final score.
In fact, they had SDSU had a 3 to cut the lead. They were down 4. They had a 3 from the wing from Friedel, a shot I mean, you assume it's going in.
Yep.
To cut the lead to 1, and he missed it, and that was kind of the game. But they, to your point, they had shots to even win down the stretch.
And we just took a shot of Friedel. He is back in the game playing with those 2 fouls. Out there alongside Charlie Easley. Little give and go. Dakota another rebound. And you can see how well Neemias Queta runs up the floor. Didn't get the ball there, but he is something to watch for Utah State. Wooster wide open. He's not going to miss that shot very often.
He is tough, man. He is a player. And my favorite thing, as you know, another former football player.
Okay.
Can throw a football 65 yards.
Yeah.
I love that stat from Craig Smith. It's one of my favorite things.
I thought you were going to say the favorite thing about him you liked is that he's not afraid to shoot the basketball.
Well, if he's, especially if he's open. I mean, you got to take this one. That's a gimme. It's when the person's in your face that it takes real will to still throw it up there. But no, he does. I don't want, you know, again, not to go all Uncle Rico on you, although I don't know if you get that reference.
I do. This time I do get one of your movie references. Thank you for checking.
But he could throw a football 65 yards in the air. And Craig Smith, if you ever wonder, and you ever come into contact with Craig Smith, have him demonstrate what that looks like and how excited he gets describing Raleigh Wooster throwing a football.
But make sure he's wearing exercise clothing first. Don't get him in his Sunday finest, because it's very physical. South Dakota State has its lead back up to 6. Foul on the floor after the miss by Anderson. Well, there were 3 Jackrabbits around Queta, and it was one of the Jackrabbits who got called for the foul. And so Wilson will take a seat. Wooster, the trigger man on the baseline. Brock Miller comes to him, catch and release.
Tough shot.
Good looking shot.
Yeah, tough shot.
The redshirt junior from Sandy, Utah, with his first 2 points, he draws the Aggies back to within 4. Friedel, quick first step. There's the equalizer at the rim, though, in Queta. One thing to beat your first man, but if Queta's the help side defender, good luck. Shireman steps into it.
And a good find. That trailer is usually going to be open. Just a slow trail there by Shireman. And a good extra pass.
And, you know, he was a prolific high school quarterback as well, so you should add him to your list.
How far can he throw it in the air?
Well, that I don't know, but he can throw it well enough to throw for 59 touchdown passes his senior year. It's pretty good.
Yikes.
Arians carves out space. You know, he just very naturally, comfortably got the defender's back, step back, free throw shot.
And when he's got the ball in his right hand, it's very comfortable to then transition to that left-handed shot.
Marco Anthony with his first 3 points. Gonna reload and try the other side. Friedel uses the screen. Now puts up a tough shot and draws the foul.
As we know, Doug Sherman, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite can throw it over the mountain. Raleigh Wooster, 65 yards. Shireman, we don't know, but he can knock down a 3.
The 2K Empire Classic Championship game is coming up at 9:30 Eastern Time. That's just about an hour from now on ESPN. And it's going to be one of the epic early non-conference meetings of the year. 18th ranked Arizona State, number 3 Villanova. Who have you got, Chris Patola?
I've got Villanova.
Okay.
Villanova made for games like that. And they have a larger collection of good players. I'll tell you, Colin Gillespie, we've talked about a lot. Jeremiah Robinson Earl has been fantastic. Was really, really good last year. Kind of a surprise, particularly with some of the guys he had around him. Sadiq Bey, who was just drafted, was so versatile. You know, you know how they're making them now these days, Doug. I mean, you got to be able to play 3 to 4 positions, put it on the floor, do so many different things.
Well, then I'll throw another one out there because I've got a little bit of a crush on Justin Moore. I mean,
Love it.
He's another one that Villanova, by the time you get to him 3rd or 4th or 5th on the list, you're like, well, he can beat us too.
Love it.
And he's another one who, in this world of positionless basketball, as you mentioned, fits in beautifully.
Yeah.
South Dakota State with the basketball, leading by 6.
Our guy Seth Greenberg likes to say that Justin Moore is another version of Josh Hart. And it's an apt comparison. They always seem to have that guy.
Yeah. Well, it is remarkable what Jay Wright has built over the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
And to be able to sustain it. And with the change in the Big East Conference as well. I mean, you remember it was just 7 years ago when the Big East broke up and all those football schools left. There was wonder, could the Big East sustain? And not only did Villanova sustain the league, not single-handedly, but they were the linchpin.
Right.
They went on to win 2 national championships, and the league never looked back. I mean, it's remarkable what he has done, and the NBA talent they've turned out, and the guys he's gotten to buy in.
Yeah.
Guys who were willing to take red shirts, guys who 2 years later were being drafted into the NBA.
By the way, I didn't mean to include you in the Seth Greenberg fan club. I went with our guy, Seth Greenberg. I don't want to impose.
Oh, Seth knows how I feel about it.
Right, okay. I just want to be...
For better or for worse, I think he knows.
Seth is my guy, but I don't want to... I assume he was your guy, too.
No,
but
Seth and I go way back. I was all over him at Long Beach State. Wasn't Seth a 2-time ACC Coach of the Year?
Yes, he was. Seth's a great coach. He was a great coach. Is a great
Still
coach.
is, yeah.
Yeah, is a great coach.
Once a coach, always a coach.
Word is he's undefeated in Allen Fieldhouse. We'll have to check the numbers.
Does that mean they never played Kansas in Shireman. And again, the prolific left-handed high school quarterback who led the Aurora Huskies to the 2018 state championship really is a good basketball player all the way around.
And he's playing more under control. You know, last year he was trying to hit a home run every time he caught the ball, and it's okay to hit a single every once in a while. And he's playing much more under control.
Stephen Ashworth, the freshman from Alpine, Utah, gets those three right back. 34-27. Jackrabbits. Arians fouled on the way up. Well, Jackrabbits have produced 3 NBA players over the years. The one you might be most familiar with, Nate Wolters, second-round pick, and in these parts, he's really a basketball god. Taken in the second round by the Wizards in 2013. But the other 2 guys who have come out of South Dakota State to play in the NBA, Steve Lingfelter, second-round pick of the Bullets in 1981, and then Tom Black was a 9th-round pick back in 1964 by the then Baltimore Bullets. So the 3 guys were drafted by the Baltimore Bullets, the Washington Bullets, and the Washington Wizards. All 3 from the same franchise, just 3 different names.
They've had great players. You put Mike Dahm on that list. I mean, some great players have come out of this program.
The Dominator. Dakota went to the deck, and he is called for traveling. Timeout on the floor. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's, home for the holidays, and Tostitos. Get to the good stuff. Tomorrow, be sure to settle in with a plate of leftovers for our college football triple header. Iowa State, Texas, noon Eastern on ABC, followed by Notre Dame and North Carolina in the ACC. That's on ABC, 3:30 Eastern time, and then a big rivalry game between Oregon and Oregon State on ESPN tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, 4 Pacific. College football takes center stage once again. Any thoughts on those 3 matchups, Chris Spatola?
I think Notre Dame pounds North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, you know, North Carolina, to me, offensively outstanding. In big games this year, that defense has not shown up, and Sam Howell hasn't been able to save them. And I'm telling you, Notre Dame's gotten better and better and better, and as Ian Book has steadily gotten better and gotten more comfortable with his receivers, I like Notre Dame.
Now, the cynic in me, Shireman with the takeaway. Here comes Wilson.
You act like your cynicism is unusual.
Not at all.
For
Wilson
you.
with the layup. But, you know, you're a former Duke employee.
Right.
Worked on Coach K's staff. Still live in the Durham area, I believe.
Do you disagree with my football analysis?
And it makes me wonder if you have somewhat of a slanted view of the folks in Chapel Hill.
You've heard my football breakdown. Look, Shireman knocking down a layup, and his as a football quarterback. Folks on the Shireman fan club, football fan club, coming out of the woodwork on Twitter. Let's go, football. Let's do it.
All right, we'll take a break so you can check your Twitter feed. There's Baylor Shireman, listed at 6'6", 180 pounds, sophomore from Aurora, Nebraska. 15 points yesterday, already into double figures here tonight, and helping the Jackrabbits play from in front. The lead back to double figures. And again, Shireman, as you pointed out, just seemingly becoming more and more comfortable in his role. 5 of 7 shooting, 3 of 5. No 4 shots that I can really remember. Just really playing a good game of basketball.
Those guys on the perimeter will get looks with how much attention you have to pay as a defense to Wilson and Dentlinger on the interior. You're going to get looks. Love the headband, too. I don't know if it's certainly not meant to hold the hair up or back. I like the flip over the top of the headband. He's got a good look. I'm digging Shireman, and it matches the sneakers. The headband matches the sneakers.
Oh, there's no question that color coordination is part of it. In practice on, what was that, Tuesday here, that was the first thing that caught my eye watching the Jackrabbits. Wilson another rebound, and he will dribble up.
Utah State can't make a shot.
Friedell's done a nice job playing extended minutes with those 2 fouls. Shireman. Shireman has got 16 points. He had 15 last night, and he is now 1 away from his career high, which came last season against Cal State Bakersfield. Now, what should have happened for those, what seemed like 20 seconds, that Dakota had the ball on the post and nobody was moving?
Yeah. That's the problem, is that they all stand and watch. And then you end up with a shot from Marco Anthony, who has hit one in this game, but he hasn't really hit one in the last 2 nights. And then the problem is South Dakota State, these threes from Shireman are wide open. The penetration off of the dribble, or throwing it into the post and kicking it back out. Shireman able to just step into these things, and he is scorching right now.
So that is a new career high for Shireman. 19 points to lead all scorers. And again, he was a key reserve as a true freshman last year, averaged just under 5 points per game. Didn't shoot it particularly well when he finished his freshman year at 25%, but he sure looks a heck of a lot better than 25% this year.
Doug, they're shooting 60% from the field, and they're 8 for 11 from 3. I mean, there's really not been a whole lot of resistance from Utah State defensively.
The struggles continue on the offensive end for the Aggies.
And it's shot quality. They're just not taking good shots or creating good shots.
Shireman. Max Shulga has come into the game, #1 in Navy. Freshman from Ukraine. And finally, the Aggies get back on the board.
And there's the potential. Nice footwork there by Dakota. Good finish on the other side of the rim.
Well, who was the comp you made last night?
I said Embiid, you know, from a defensive standpoint. And then when you watch him, he was doing a lot of catching last night on the mid-post, facing up. He's got a long way to go, obviously, but the games are similar.
Well, that looked pretty good. Shulga by himself with 3 white jerseys around him. He should have definitely pulled that back out.
Well, that's a winning defensive play. You trail it, you get your back flow, and you make a play from behind on a guy who clearly was not comfortable handling in the open floor in Shulga.
Game clock, shot clock within tenths of a second of each other. So the Jackrabbits will call a timeout with 12.8 on the game clock to set up one final look. Coming up on the E-Trade halftime report, #1 Gonzaga announces to the nation that we are here to stay and we're going to be tough to beat this year with a takedown of 6th-ranked Kansas. Western Kentucky beat Memphis, and that means the Hilltoppers will be in the championship game here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota tomorrow afternoon against West Virginia. And how about Illinois? The backcourt for the Fighting Illini is incredible.
It's a team that wasn't supposed to make threes this year, and they have been on fire in the first 2 games. And it's, you know, we've talked about Boogie Ellis in this tournament. Wanted to be a one and done. Did not have, you know, underwhelmed last year. Was not ready to be a pro. Came back. Played really well in their first game in this tournament. Ayu Dosunmu. I don't know if that pronunciation was quite on, but
Ayo Dosunmu. But we'll work on that. We've got time. Ayo Dosunmu. I thought you were having a seizure. I wasn't sure what.
No, I've worked on it all day. But the point is, Doug, a guy who, again, wanted to be a pro, tried the process, the pandemic and everything that was going on, figured, let me go back to Illinois, and he's the beneficiary of having another year of college basketball. He's had, other than me screwing up his name on TV.
You're not the first, won't be the last.
He's had a good start to his year.
And oh, by the way, Kofi Coburn, another guy who had a great freshman year and decided to come back. And so that gives Illinois an unbelievable inside-outside presence in the Big Ten. Anthony did not beat the buzzer, I don't believe. Either way, it was an ugly end to the first half of the offensive end for the Aggies, while Baylor Shireman walks in having already posted a career-high 19 points. It's halftime, and the Jackrabbits lead it by 15.